Let me know when. Yes, ma'am. Okay, all set.
Okay, so we will start the meeting and I will call the meeting to order, the October Audit and Finance Committee meeting. Again, thanks to everyone that is in attendance. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today. I would like to ask for a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Agenda is adopted as presented, and the approval of the September 14th minutes. If there are no corrections or edits to the minutes, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
No, I just.
Every day,
the back.
something else. If you read all these. Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. The first item on the agenda is the capital maintenance plan.
Yes, ma'am. This is Jeff Borelli. I've got that one. Mr. Crops is on a well-earned vacation this week, so I'm batting for him. I've got Debbie Gunn and I've got Eric Cook, two of the folks that are really the sausage makers on this project for well over 6 years now. I wanted to have them on the line to answer any questions and also to thank them for all the great work that they do in this program. We are heading into year 6 of the 6-year program. For those of you that may not recall, since it's been a year since we brought this to the committee, we bring forward a capital maintenance plan every year. We proposed a 6-year to start with. It's based on 12 building systems, things like roofs, HVAC, flooring. Back 6-7 years ago, we had a facilities assessment done that determined the service life that was left in those building systems and the cost to replace those systems. And folks like Eric and Debbie Gunn, they were the ones that racked and stacked the projects to get them done when they needed to be done. So what we're bringing forward for your consideration today is $13.7 million worth of projects that would go with 8% money and $10 million, I'm sorry, with sales tax money, and $10 million worth of projects that would come forward with 8% money. Over the course of this entire 6 years, we've expended $159 million in lots of great ways, lots of great projects done. We still have a significant backlog, over $200 million worth of projects, and that's where the next sales tax program comes into play. On the attachment that you have, you would really look at year 6 to see where the projects are that we're proposing. Those that are in black are sales tax ink, and those that are in green ink are the 8% funding to basically expend the funding that's allocated for year 6. So without further ado, I'm putting forward this recommendation to approve the motion as attached, subject to any of your questions.
Jeff, is there anything in your mind that stands out that you would like to just, maybe mention to the committee, anything in particular?
Well, I would just note that as it's been in years past, HVAC and roofing dominate those building systems. That's where they're extremely expensive items. Most of the time, they're whole building replacements, and that's where the heavy hitting funding is being invested, and it's no different in this cycle.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the committee members regarding any of the projects?
Jeffrey, what's the salaries component? That's $1.5 million this year, which I'm assuming that it's construction management salaries. Is that our staff? Is that outside people?
That's program management funding for our staff primarily. So we assign percentages of individuals. In some cases, one whole FTE, but in most cases, it's percentages of various staff that work the sales tax and 8% funding. And that's reassessed every year. Every year we take a look at who's working it to make sure we've got an accurate accounting.
It seems like that piece as a percentage seems like it's going up, which I would expect, obviously, well, general costs are going up as our salary costs, but it seems like it's going up quite a bit relative to the past 5 years.
It has gone up. In some cases, we've realized that more should have been allocated to it than was in the past. So unfortunately, we didn't have it higher the first few years of the program. As we completed years of the program, we assessed where individuals worked. And so I think that in the past, we could have been higher. And we've just, every year, we reassess at that point.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jeff? If no other questions, can I get a motion on this? This is an action item, so can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Ms. Green. I'm bringing forward the next item as well. I went ahead and approved Mr. Araki's leave a while ago. So I'm substituting here too. I've got Judy Wyndham on the line. Judy is one of our directors in IT who's been a big part of this program, and she's on to provide me some backup here as Debbie and Eric were on the last one. So similar to capital maintenance, we've got capital IT with the line item in the sales tax program over the course of 6 years. We'll have invested $34 million, which is roughly between $5 and just over $6 million per year. On the first page of the attachment is the breakdown by year, as well as the 9 different program categories. The project management fees, that's again internal staffing and project contingency in case we have an overrun. You can see on the far right column the 6-year budget. Most of the funds are being allocated toward replacement devices, both for staff and students. And we've also got a bulk of the funding going toward technology infrastructure. That includes PA systems, phone systems, uninterrupted power systems in our schools as we look to manage the service life for each of those systems. So what I'm bringing forward again is a $6.3 million budget for year 6 of this program.
Any questions on the technology plan?
One question I have, and I think Judy and I have talked about this before, but on that teacher replacement, the 2.8 million, are those all going to be PCs, or are they also still support Macs for teachers?
Judy, have you got that one?
Right now, we do support both, but that is certainly something we're taking a good look at because we obviously spend a lot more money to do both. But right now we have plans to do both in the near future.
All right.
Thanks, Judy.
Clarify that, because I'm not sure I follow you. Are you saying this amount that you have for that is for both laptops?
Or I asked her about, for teachers, they allow teachers to support either have a Mac computer or have a PC.
Oh, okay.
And there was always talk about the school district trying to cut down the number of devices they have to support so that they wouldn't, because no students except for iMacs or iPads would be using Macs. So, it's just another thing that, when you look at security infrastructure on the network, making sure validating that those systems can be supported.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been a real tough one for the district. It was a decision made a number of years ago. And once we started going down that road, it's tough to end it. If I took our entire staff and locked them in the conference room and said, choose Mac or the other, nobody may come out of there alive. You get pretty protective of the device you're used to using. So it's a tough hill to climb on this one.
Yeah. And, Apples do cost more, except for their term of life is probably longer than a Chromebook. So, it's hard to equate apples to apples there.
No pun intended, right?
Any other questions regarding the technology plan? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the technology capital program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, technology planning is approved to move forward. The next item on the agenda is the 2010-2016 capital building program.
Yes, Ms. Green, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Jasmine Shaw. The Audit and Finance Committee has not met her yet. She's our new Executive Director for Capital Programs. So I'll actually get to turn an item over for somebody else to present here. But Jasmine is coming to us via the Office of School Facilities. She worked for the State Department of Education. So essentially, she was inspecting and responsible for all of the inspections on our projects. So we've got some inside baseball going here, and we really are incredibly appreciative of having the opportunity to bring her on the team. She's a Clemson engineering graduate and has her professional engineering license in this state as well. She's coming on board to backfill the gap position that Reggie left, that BJ Sturman was filling in the interim, and we're really happy to have her. And she's got the next item up.
Well, thank you, Jeff, and I'm very happy to be here, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Today, I will be presenting the Phase 3 sales tax budget reallocation. We did experience some cost savings within that particular program. As a result, the Phase 3 capital building programs, we have completed 5 school projects and 1 land purchase that was not acquired as promised by the land developer. And as a result, we experienced a cost savings for all 6 items as listed, which is being presented today as a recommendation to reallocate the savings to the building program contingency 574 under Phase 3 program, as well as the Meminger Elementary project. To give you some information on the Meminger project, this particular project experienced a defect with a non-structural building component. And since it was difficult to decide who would be responsible for the defect even after the warranty was up, CCSD, as well as the company who installed the item, will split the cost 50-50, in which CCSD will then contribute $20,000 towards that particular item. And that's all I have for the reallocation. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Shaw? Welcome aboard, and we'll be expecting all the inside tips.
Absolutely, thank you.
Any questions of Ms. Shaw and the reallocation? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So
Move
moved.
to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Ms. Shaw. The next item is the monthly capital projects report. Joyce?
Thank you, Ms. Green, and good afternoon. I'd like to present the August 2021 Capital Projects Report. The revenue collections for the 2017 through 2022 building program, Phase 4, are 4.5 million above the projections. These are the July sales tax collections for the program. It was a good month. The 2010 through 2016 capital building program Phase 3, the expenditures were $75,000. The expenditures for the 2017 through 2022 building program Phase 4 were $10 million. The expenditures for the 2023 through 2028 capital building program Phase 5 were 0 for the month. As you know, that program is just kicking off. The capital maintenance 8% funding, the expenditures were $2 million. The fixed cost of ownership fiscal year 21 program has been completed. We will be bringing the annual recap presentation to this committee in November as an information item. The fixed cost of ownership fiscal year 22 program is in progress. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Joyce? If not, as always, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your report. The fiscal year 21 SWMBE report. Don, are you kicking that off or Wayne?
Yes.
Wayne, Mr. Welcher?
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to present the annual report. In 2021, the district issued 5,025 purchase orders to 964 vendors, of which 361 of those were small or minority businesses. The district expenditures for FY21 totaled $327,417,916, which $292,772.65, $72,605.33 was committed via purchase order, and $34,645,310 were committed via the P card. CCSD committed $62,974,630.30 to non-commercial activities. That includes charter schools and nonprofits that like Charleston County Mental Health that we paid funds to, which reduced the total committed dollars to $264,443,255.70. CCSD committed $121,674,815.70, which included $205,318.38 committed via the P card to small and minority businesses. The total percentage committed to small and minority businesses in FY21 was 46%, which exceeded the goal by 26%. The following paragraphs are breakdown by object code of how the dollars were spent. Like I said earlier, the overall goal was 20%, which we exceeded by 26%. Are there any questions?
Offer kudos for exceeding the goal substantially. And I also think tracking it by the components is also probably very helpful and informative as well.
Thank you.
Don, do you have some follow-up comments? Oh, no.
The follow-up comment that I would make, if the committee recalls, we last fall when we presented the SWMBE report, there was, I think we had attained 28% at that time. There was I believe, board member that suggested that we established a goal instead of 20%. We moved closer to maybe 35%. At that point, Wayne had come to me to discuss the possibility of a disparity study. As the committee is aware, that study is currently underway. The district invested a pretty substantial amount in that study. The results of the study or the report won't be available until late spring of next year. And we will use that as the basis for two things. One, really establishing a goal based on data. So we'll do that and bring that to the Audit and Finance Committee as part of a recommendation, as well as to bring specific strategies that will come out as recommendations from the report to make sure that we are paying attention to including all of our communities in our purchases.
And I would concur with Ken, just to say thanks for all the hard work, Wayne, in trying to, and for me, it's not necessarily about the numbers as much as it's just doing what we can do to support minority businesses. But thanks, we really appreciate those efforts.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions of Don or Wayne regarding the report? The task force, what do y'all call it? Not task force.
You mean the disparity study?
The disparity study is supposed to be completed in June of next year, right? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the TIF request update, Mr. Kennedy.
Yes, ma'am. So last month at the Audit Finance Committee meeting, we presented two TIF requests from the city of North Charleston. The board, the committee asked staff to conduct a financial analysis using a third party as called for in the TIF policy. We did that. PFM conducted that analysis. David Moore from PFM is on. I'll ask him to talk through that analysis here in a second. And then because of the timing, we have to respond to the city by October 14. The analysis, the financial analysis indicated that it's not in the best interest of the district to do so, to participate in those two TIFs. And so we took that recommendation to the school board meeting in September, since we will not have a board meeting between now and the October 14th deadline. So that recommendation has been taken to to the school board based on the analysis that PFM did. And I'll ask David talk about that analysis. David.
Sure. Again, it's David Moore with PFM Financial Advisors. I'll be very brief. As most of you all know, the policy that was put in place was designed to protect the district from the reality that if you participate in a TIF, ad valorem revenues would get directed elsewhere to support the TIF. And those TIFs obviously are structured because there's an economic need or an economic benefit to the community. But the challenge is for the school district, oftentimes specific developments create significant cash flow needs for the district. So to give away the revenue that would come from a development in an area is something that the district felt strongly was inappropriate most of the time. This analysis, this go around, really was very, very, very simple. There are times when it would take a good bit of analytical review on our part or whoever would do the report. The bottom line is there's a lot of residential elements to the projects that are presented, and doing very rough estimates on the ongoing expenses. They would cost the district as they're built out and students materialize about $3.5 million a year. And you'd be giving up revenue. So that would have to essentially come from the same people that are paying taxes already. And so the policy essentially says you're not going to participate unless there's a compelling reason to. There was nothing that we could see in the TIF that would cause you to make an exception. And it was clear that there would be a financial cost to the district, not just in lost revenue, but also in increased expenses with additional students most likely entering the district. So our recommendation was that it seems to align perfectly with the policy as you've approved it in the past, and so you would not want to participate.
Any questions? Yes, it was last month that we discussed this, and so Don just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of where we were, what we did, et cetera, et cetera. So are there any questions about any of the actions taken?
I guess I don't have any questions that would suggest additional follow-up work in this case. The decision's already been made, and it certainly seemed likely that this TIF was going to have a high bar to get over, just on the surface review of it. But in the event, as we very well may be faced with TIF opportunities to analyze again in the future, it would seem to me that it would be useful to have more of a summary of how much tax revenue do we think we're foregoing, how much incrementally higher tax revenue do we think we'll get in the future, and at least one level of sensitivity analysis or one sort of variable played against us to assess the probability of those outcomes. I think that would be useful in doing this kind of analysis.
Soccer's canceled.
That's a very good point, Tim. Yeah, very good point.
But there's certainly no reason to do any more work on this one. We've already declined it, and it didn't seem like it was going to go forward anyway.
If you, Don, if you don't mind, or Chair, I can chime in on that point. One of the complications that we realized very quickly when this came up is there's a very, very quick turn. Something lands on your desk. By the time it actually gets to your desk, if there was a lot of analysis that needed to be done, and to your point, this one was so straightforward, unless there was something we didn't know about. It'll be very tricky, I think. When Don reached out to us, because it had finally percolated its way through to the system, there was 4 or 5 days. We did the head count analysis on the absorptions in the apartments and things like that, and came up with the numbers here. If there was more required, the basic, like I think one thing you mentioned, which is I think is very appropriate, a little more rigor to the analysis of the expected foregone revenue, so you can get a scale analysis. That's relatively easy to add to. We focused on the other side because it was so cut and dry. But the bottom line is there's a time crunch, and I think the challenge you've got is statutorily, they only have to give you 60 days notice. And when you back up from when your board meetings and all are, it makes it very, very difficult. And I mean, for you all, and we had planned to go down the path that you're just so you know, we had planned to go down the path that you laid out, and would expect to do that when, in most cases, to where we do the math, stress it a little, assume quicker development, and so forth. And so I appreciate that comment, because that's what we would typically do. But it is tough. There's going to be times when we very likely will be walking in either this committee or some, whoever at that point in time and saying, we got all the data from the developers and the city and whoever 2 days ago, and this is what we've done in that time frame and so forth. So that's really more just a warning for the future. We agree exactly with what you're asking. I think that is the appropriate analysis, but there are going to be times when we have to walk in and say, here's what we've got.
Your points are certainly well taken, and support, I think, the view that this committee took previously, and I think the board took as well, that without more time, we have to have almost a default no, because the minimum statutory time is not adequate to evaluate something like this.
Can I ask a question? So, and really this is for Don or David, and I absolutely agree with the financial analysis, and you guys did a tremendous job last year when we were trying to talk about the North Morrison Drive corridor and how to do that. This one I didn't even care, because when you ask for a TIF district in the highest retail sales producing, square mile in the state of South Carolina, you're already off my table. But I thought TIFs, let me rephrase this, can a municipality be so bold as to request a TIF in a highly successful tax revenue generating district? Can they even do that?
Well, apparently so. I would say that was probably an unusual one, and the ones that we've seen in the past have not been in such of a highly developed area already. And to David's point about the statutory requirement of the timeline, it's actually 45 days, so it's even shorter than the 60 days. And last year, when the board adopted the TIF policy, the policy says that the municipality needs to give the district a 90-day notice. And so I would say that there's probably a lack of understanding amongst any of the municipalities about that requirement. And if there could conceivably be in the future some compelling reason that the district might want to support a TIF district. And so I would say that probably it would be helpful if we were able to some kind of way communicate to the various governments here that we have this new policy, what our concerns are, and that there needs to be probably more upfront collaboration with the district if there's an expectation that we would consider participation, because the 45 days is not going to allow us to do any the type of financial analysis that's required by the policy.
Thank you, Don. Any other questions for Don or Dave? David? David, thank you for being here with us today and your feedback and comments. Okay, there are no further questions or comments on that issue. I will entertain, I'm sorry, we have the annual budget calendar. I think Don just has a comment about that.
Yes. I want to comment about PFL.
About,
David.
oh, you can make a comment about whatever you like.
Thank you, ma'am. So in the requirement for October for the Audit and Finance Committee, staff is supposed to bring to the committee the budget calendar for the upcoming fiscal year, for fiscal year 23 in this case. And now talking with Ms. Green, I've asked if we could just delay that until November. There are a couple of reasons on that. One, the last couple of years, we brought the calendar forward with an expectation that we would take a second reading of the budget to the school board in May. In both cases, in the last 2 years, we've actually delayed that vote until June. And so I expect that delay to be, I expect this year for that to happen also. And also the other reason is that because of the additional federal dollars coming in, the district needs a little bit more time to actually plan out how those expenditures might impact the general operating fund. And I want to make sure that we have enough time to be able to strategize on that and incorporate those strategies in the budget calendar.
So the budget calendar will actually be discussed at next week. We will have that on next month's agenda as well.
Great.
Okay.
And the other point I wanted to make, bring forward is now that since David Moore with PFM is on the line, and I'm hoping he's okay if I say this. I didn't realize he's going to be on the call, but somebody else is going to be on the call. And so we have 2 more Audit and Finance Committee meetings in this calendar year, November, December. I don't think there's probably anything on the agenda that would require David's presence. David, at the end of this calendar year, he's going to retire from PFM. So I just want to give him my congratulations and my thanks for the work that he's done to support the district. My first day on the job in 2004, July 1, 2004, my first time in the district, I was on a ratings call for bond sales. And David Moore is one of the first people I met here. So he's been supporting the district for a long time with some outstanding work. And we certainly couldn't have done many of the things that we have done without David and his team and the financial analysis and support they provide. So thank you, David.
Well, they know you were retiring on this day. But thank you for all of your work. We really appreciate everything that you've done for us. And if I had known that, I would have certainly used my charm to try to change your mind, but I just.
I do, if you mind, if I give me 20 seconds. Thanks, Don, for the kind words, and I appreciate the congratulations from all of you. And yes, Joyce, I saw the applause. You all, and I mean you all on this call, and the you alls before over the last, I can't believe it's been 17 years. And yes, Don, I remember that day. It has been a blast working with you all. You all have had amazingly strong times, and you all had, and we were hired because there was a crisis and you had to have a solution in 4 or 5 weeks. And that was fun to figure out, but it's also been amazing to see how a district we work with school districts all over the South, and it's been amazing for us as kind of outsiders to be able to see a district make amazing strides. You know, we focus on the capital and debt side, but we fortunately get to sit through all the board meetings and see the amazing things that you all have done and are continuing to do on the academic side. And so it has been a blast to work with you all. And as Don said, Jay Glover, who many of you all have seen over the years, is one of my partners. He'll be taking over for me. He has made me commit to at least pay attention and be willing to answer the phone when he calls, because we have I'm a little bit of a control freak, so there's a lot of spreadsheets and things that have my fingerprints on them that probably will be a little bit hard for them to follow. Not because they're brilliant, probably, but because I do things my way. So anyway, I will be helping Jay in the background unofficially, but it has been a blast. I really appreciate it. You all have, and I'm not saying this to every client. You all have really made my career a lot of fun.
Thank you for those comments. I can only, I'm somewhat aware of some of the bad times financially that the district had, but yeah, we are pretty fortunate with the leadership we have in the finance area now, and we wish you the best. And Don may be calling you, so you may want to make sure you know keep his phone number.
He's got my cell. He knows where I live.
Okay, good, very good. Thank you so much, and best of luck to you.
Thanks.
Okay, so that takes care of all of the open session agenda items. We have one contractual matter to discuss in executive session, and I will entertain a motion to move into executive session unless somebody has some questions about anything that we've just talked about. Sorry.
Motion to go to executive session.
I'll entertain a motion to move to executive session.
So moved.
Okay, did. Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. So those of you who are not needed, in the executive session, will be zoomed out, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay, so we are back now in open session. During the executive session, we were briefed on a contractual matter. And I will now entertain a motion on that particular matter.
Move to approve.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling, kids.
Okay, so that motion carries. Any questions from anyone about anything? Postmate, any words of wisdom or anything?
Thank you. No words of wisdom, just thanks.
Okay, well, thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
And when I use guys, I'm talking literally women and men, so I don't mean that in a negative way, but you guys are really a good committee to work with, and I'm honored to be a part of what you do. So, Don, you got anything else? Oh, we've got to talk about the agenda. Sorry. Okay, so items 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
And the exact 9.
and 9. I'm getting better at this. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so if nobody has anything, we will see you on November 2nd. If anybody needs me, you know how to reach.
Yep.
Okay, take care, everyone. Thank you very much.
Bye.